And for 40, 50, 60 years, the US has been regarded generally as a benevolent country. Today, the US is remembered more for destruction. It's a middle class which is the repository of values. America has destroyed its own middle class. The rich class is one extreme, the poor class is another extreme, and the middle class, the voice of sobriety, is shrinking. And that is a lesson for India. The middle class, which is neither rich nor can get the free subsidies that the poor get, is squeezed. It must pay the taxes. Hi, this is RN Bhaskar from Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. And this is a place where every week, week after week, you'll have something which analyzes policy. Occasionally, you have a business story that you may not have heard elsewhere. And occasionally, you have a business discussion, a conversation. But today, we're going to discuss a policy. Not exactly a policy, but at a bit of history which tells you what the policy should be. But before I come to that, let me make 3 requests. 1, click the subscribe button if you've not clicked it already. 2, click the like button. And 3, please tell everyone you know about us. Why? Because we bring you issues and we discuss situations that many people don't discuss, but which are critical for your future and the future of the next generation. They are national interest, and that is why it is important that you should talk to others about it. So today's policy, as I said, is a bit of history to point out trends which suggest what the policy should be. And this time, let's begin with a subject that everyone is concerned about, and that is the USA. We are concerned about the USA for several reasons. 1, the US is the richest country. And for 40, 50, 60 years, the US has been regarded generally as a benevolent country, which helps countries grow. In my college days, I wanted to go to the US. I admired the US for the way it cherished values. Today, the US is remembered more for destruction. It has caused almost 600,000 people to die in Europe in the Ukraine war. The war took place because of the US, as can be seen from the documents that are available on the web. Just go to Google and type out NYET. Niet means niet. It's a document that is written by a man called William Burns, who was then ambassador to Russia from the USA. In an 8-page document, he explains why USA should not do this, otherwise there'll be a war with Russia. The US ignored those warnings. Today, William Burns is a director of the CIA. And no Western newspaper talks about this document called NYET, means niet. The US caused the Ukraine war, and the US is the main force behind Israel. Israel would went bankrupt last year. The US funds it with money for its day-to-day work, as well as for the armaments and military support with which it kills the Gazans, the Palestinians, day after day after day. And it's sad to see President Trump saying that it's sad to see such emaciated Israeli prisoners who have been released by the Gazans, horrified at the way that Gazans have treated the Israelis.
I watched the hostages come back today, and they looked like Holocaust survivors. They were in horrible condition. They were emaciated.
Two corrections. One, when the Gazans released the Israelis, they were not dying. Israel blocked food to the Gazans, and the Gazans were still feeding the prisoners with the little food they had. Instead, look at the Palestinian prisoners who came out from Israeli jails. Broken, bruised, humiliated. And Trump had nothing to say about it.
And many of the released prisoners showed signs of torture and abuse.
In a recent development, President Trump expressed sympathy and condolence to the 34 Ukrainians who died. Did he ever express condolence for the Gazans who died? Suddenly, the USA is filled with prejudice. It's no longer the benign, well-meaning country. And you wonder what happened to it. Some very interesting developments took place in the US that have made the US the way it is. Listen to Professor Wang, who's a professor in Singapore, and listen to him very carefully, and he will tell you what happened.
Middle class in America did not benefit from that. The upper rich capitalists benefited tremendously, became much, much richer. The liberal economy, you might say, fulfilled the principle that the rich would get richer and the middle class would stagnate and the poor get poorer.
And he explains it beautifully. In every country, there are extremists. There are extremists on the left and the extremists on the right. No country is without extremists. But politicians are voted to power by the middle class. It's a middle class which is the repository of values. And that is why the middle class is very important, because they bring in sobriety in the midst of these two extremes. In the last few decades, America has destroyed its own middle class. Look at the chart. You will see how the middle class is gradually being destroyed. And the rich class is becoming bigger. The rich class is one extreme, the poor class is another extreme, and the middle class, the voice of sobriety, is shrinking. When the voice of sobriety shrinks, it's extreme views that get political support. And that is what has happened in America. Extremism has come to power. This is what happened in Germany with Hitler. And this is what is happening in America. For the first time, America is attacking universities and telling them they cannot protest freely in a land where the First Amendment talks about the freedom of speech. The matter is before the courts today. Harvard has sent a legal notice saying we are not going to be cowed down and we are not going to abandon free speech to the government. Columbia succumbed because it's funded largely by the state. Whenever you shrink the middle class, you have problems. And that is a lesson for India. India has seen greater disparities of income. The rich have become richer. Of course, the rich is not 10%, the rich is just 1 or 2% at the top. But they control over 50% of India's wealth. The poor, because in large numbers, are taken care of the government by free doles, by subsidies. The poor can manage because the government protects them. As a result, the middle class, which is neither rich nor can get the free subsidies that the poor get, is squeezed. It must pay the taxes. It must see its income shrink. And you're shrinking the middle class in India, which means India is preparing itself for extremism. And extremism is destructive because it divides people against people. We've seen what extremism is doing to America. We've seen what extremism is doing to Israel. And it's sad that India has not realized that when you allow the middle class to shrink, you are creating grounds for more destruction and for slower growth, sometimes even negative growth. Let's look at two other numbers. The first number in America is how the rich have become richer, how the poor have remained poor, and how the middle class is losing money. And then look at the second chart, which is even more graphic. It shows the middle incomes declining and it shows high incomes increasing. The lines intersected a few years ago, and now the crisis that you see in America, the violence that you see unleashed by America, and the distorted policies that you see being ushered in by America in the form of tariffs or a ban on immigration are the result of such extremism. America is a land of immigrants. It's the immigrants who brought in opportunities. It's the immigrants who brought in wealth. Now America wants tariffs. Tariffs of any kind cause product prices to increase. The only way to bring down product prices is by creating new skills with a new population that can accept lower wages. There is no way that will be possible without allowing immigration once again. Remember, America's entire farm sector depends on immigrants who can do the lowly jobs at low wages and go back again. Stupidly, America has had tariffs on the one side and a ban on immigration on the other. You have labor inflation because of this, and you will have product inflation because of tariffs. Again, extremism brings about extreme policies which in turn wreak havoc on the country. The middle class, the middle sector is crucially important always. You need the sobriety of the middle class back. It's the middle class that is the safeguard for any country, for any culture, for any economy. And this is where India needs to pause and look for ways by which the middle class can be nurtured. Don't fudge numbers. That only pushes the dirt under the carpet. But the causes for diseases is there under the carpet. You need to clean the dust under the carpet first. India needs a thorough re-examination of ways to protect the middle class, of ways to create jobs, of ways to instill confidence so that investments come back. If you don't do that, you could be in big trouble the way the US is in trouble today. That brings me to the end of today's podcast. Thank you for being with us. And just before I leave, a little reminder: subscribe, click the like, and do tell everyone you know about us. We need to grow much more because we believe these thoughts are important for you and for everyone else. See you again next time. Till then, have a lovely time. Thank you. You'll find us now every morning at 8:15 a.m. on weekdays, where we come out with daily news, or better still, news behind the news. Do watch it.